Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about tips and tricks to help you become a better player in the game The Finals. Now some of these you may have seen in other channels or in other shorts, but I'm trying to elaborate more on them and bring more topics to help you develop as a gamer in this game, because the game is as simple as it is as a FPS. There's some complexity to it in terms of balances and countermeasures or counter. We're also going to look at how to develop as a player and increase maybe awareness or kind of gamer IQ so that you can perform at the top levels and hopefully maybe make it to platinum or diamond for later on. So without further ado, let's get started. Now this first tip combines cover and positioning because I feel like they go hand in hand, where you always need to be around cover because it helps protect you against enemies, as well it gives you space between them. Make sure you're behind cover because, again, it allows you to back up, it allows you to heal, gives you some space between you and the enemy, and it gives you an edge because if you perfect it, you can use what they call a hedge glitch, where you only expose your head to the enemy while the enemy exposes their whole body. And so this definitely gives you advantage in a gunfight overall. So look to find cover, and with positioning, it's an important aspect because it separates novice players from pros or highly skilled players, whether it be contesting or protecting vaults, cash outs. You want to make sure that you have the best position to succeed, whether it be, which is high ground or maybe an area that has a lot of cover. If you look in this clip, you can see me constantly positioning myself behind cover and using it as a means to get a drop on the enemy or position myself so they can't have a good shot on me, but I have a good shot on them. And that's what I'm talking about, is make sure that you take into account wherever you're pushing or whatever you're doing, that you have a means to protect yourself from a flank, from a solo, or even a third party. That way you could become more of an asset for your team because you're able to stay alive and hold down crucial areas. Now, whether you be contesting or protecting vaults, cash out points, you want to make sure that you have the best positioning to succeed that has cover for you to fight from. You need to constantly assess the situation as you gain intel when you push these areas and see how the enemies are setting up. And as you approach the areas of interest, you need to ask yourself, do I take high ground? Do I have enough cover? Can I back off? Do we need to regroup? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is elemental countermeasures. So in the arena of the finals, you have goo, fire, and toxic gas. Now, fire cancels out goo and toxic gas, and smoke cancels out fire. And I think it's important that someone in your loadout carries incendiary nades, because the current meta right now is that people are carrying gas mines and putting them along the cash out points. And so what happens is when this explodes, you create a waiting period for you to get on the cash out, which helps them because they get to respawn, and then you lose time on stealing the cash out. So I think it's important to burn the gas away, and take the point as fast as possible so that you can set up a defense against anyone that's pushing it. So we know that heavy has C4 and light has breaches, and both of them use them in a form of nukes. One stronger than the other, obviously, but medium class does have a form of a nuke with explosive mines. The only problem is that the mines weigh down the object that you're throwing, so you can't throw it as far, but it does deliver an explosive payload that you can use as a nuke. So keep that in mind. Now, let's say your team's full of mediums and you need to break into a room, but you have no breaches or C4. The next thing you could do is throw some mines on the wall and shoot it. Same thing, it blows up, creates a hole for you guys to enter, and it's a workaround for the current situation. The next topic I want to mention is using openers, such as explosive barrels, grenades, to introduce damage to the team you're pushing. And with this introductory damage, what's going to happen is that's less bullets you have to put into these people to kill them, and at the same time you get a faster wipe because now they have to react because the nades hit them first, and now they're half damage. So make sure to use your carryables to do introductory damage before you start the fight with the guns. How to throw objects further. Now, if you run and throw your object, it's going to go far. Definitely further than if you're just standing in place. But if you really want to toss that object, whether it be the vault, canisters, what you want to do is you want to run, jump, slide, and then jump out of your slide and throw it. That's going to add momentum to that toss or to the vault and make it travel further than just running and throwing it. So make sure you run, jump, slide, and jump out before you throw it to get maximum distance. Now, this next one is not so much a tip, but it's something I wanted to experiment because I saw one of the Steam achievements say you got to get a kill with the vault. So I was curious of how much damage the vault does. And so spread among the classes of light, medium, and heavy, it looks like hitting one of them with the vault does 2 bars worth of damage. So now you know. The next thing we want to talk about is window parkour. Now, I'm sure you've seen videos talking about this, but basically the concept is instead of going up the stairs or using other means of travel like jump pads and zip lines, you can run out the window, do a 180 and hit spacebar or whatever your jump is and jump up to the next level through the window and keep repeating this and parkour your way up to the floors, to the desired floor that you want. So it's a very helpful and it surprises the enemy. So keep that in mind. Next thing I want to talk about is how to use zip lines and zip line placement. So when you're using zip lines, if you want to carry your momentum off the zip line, you want to make sure you jump before you get to the end. If you jump at the end, you're not going to carry any momentum and you'll just go up on top of the roof per se. So what you want to do is if you have about 20 feet left, you want to look to jump, and that the speed that you carry into the zip line is going to come with you, and you're going to fly towards the platform or whatever it is that you want to reach. Now, zip line placement, it's kind of a tricky thing. I know I mess up placing zip lines all the time, especially some of the people I play with. But you want to make sure that wherever the zip line ends is where you want to put it. So if wherever that L is where you're going to fall off. So if it's on the wall, like you see in the video, you're only going to go to the wall. But if you have that L angled up, then you're going to go all the way to the roof. So make sure wherever you put that zip line, that L is where you want it so that you can land at the correct spot or place it in the correct area that you want. Otherwise, you're going to have to try to use momentum and jump off to reach the area that you want to go to. Using jump pads as offensive or defensive measures, meaning we use jump pads to jump up to areas that we can't reach, and we use them to attack points. That's the offensive approach. But you can also use them as defensive by putting them in doorways or putting the cash out on them, so the cash out's constantly bouncing. And when the enemies run through the door, they're gonna hit these jump pads and they're gonna bounce, leaving them open for attacks. So make sure that you come up with some creative ways to use these jump pads. Another thing is on the floating platform, what you could do is put it on one of the sides, and maybe hopefully while engaging into a fight, the enemy hits that and bounces off and falls off the edge. So get creative with it and make sure you use these jump pads for both offensive and defensive. Barricades. Now barricades are very useful. They take a lot of damage, more than the dome nade, and they can provide adequate cover for you. So one of the things I found out is if you right click, you pivot the barricades. So it allows you to really customize and make half domes or make really good layouts for protection. So make sure you add this to your loadout. Awareness plays an important role in this game. Not only do you need to know where people are at and where they're positioning, but you need to know how much time you have and where you are in the rankings to move on to the next level. Now, if you look at my screen, you're going to see that I'm in second place with purple cashing out and red cashing out. Purple's in third place, and with their cash out amount, they can knock me off. So my most important target is making sure that purple does not secure that. And that's just me being aware of where we're at. I have 3 minutes to get there and make sure that they don't cash out so I can secure the victory. So make sure you're constantly looking and assessing what you need to do to move on to the next level. Now, stemming off of awareness, choosing your cash out point and being aware of what you're capable of. So if you have guys that have a lot of barricades, a lot of goo and stuff like that, you're looking forward to take a cash out that's on the open because you could create your own cover. But if you don't have that, or if you have a lot of close quarter weapons, you might want to look into taking a cash out in a house where you can fortify it that way and you take advantage of the CQ weapons that you have. So be aware of what you have so you can take the most efficient cash out. Now, I don't know how many people know this, but this is my secret sauce, and this is what me and my team use. So, team wipes. So, when you get wiped, you lose 30% of your cash value, meaning if you have 10,000, you're down to 7,000. So, what me and my team does is if there's one guy standing, what we do is we watch. And if he looks like he's going to get wiped, we coin in, and we not only do we prevent ourselves from losing the 30%, but we can always go back and get him after the area is cleared. And that's a way you guys could save your cash and go further in the rounds. Be more of a threat because you have more cash. So keep that in mind. And again, this is all about awareness and knowing the situations that you're in and how to win. Using effective builds is important in this game. You know, you don't want to have an effective build where you're not helpful for your teammates, because while you can be a good player solo, you do to get destroyed if you were coming against another good team. So make sure that the build that you have helps support the team so that you guys can push together, defend together, or move along so that you can advance in the finals and not just be a solo player and whatnot. There's a lot of good stuff in the game, a lot of good abilities, a lot of good gadgets, but you gotta know that you need to use something to help support your teammates. So just keep that in mind as you're making these builds and trying to advance. Now, expanding on this teamwork idea, you make sure that you stick close to your teammates and communicate. you know, because if you are out in the open and by yourself, you're going to get destroyed. My boy was out by himself. Two light builds came with their MP5s and just melted him instantly. And so if he had been closer to us, one of us could have threw up a wall while the other one healed, and then we alternate back and forth with the walls. This is why communication is a vital aspect of teamwork. Without it, pushes and defenses fail. Players do not get healed, or do they get revived? And, you know, face it, we tend to shoot the first thing that moves whenever it comes across the screen. So, you know, if you notice that the heavy guy on the jet setter is weak, you could communicate to your team, or if he's carrying the team, communicate that. So then you guys could target him first because he's the cornerstone, and without him, the other team fails. And also make sure that when you communicate your plans that everyone agrees with you. So again, you're not all over the place, and keep comms clear and concise so there's no confusion. Now, some of these guns' recoils can be difficult to control because of maybe the zigzag, like the M60, how it goes back and forth, or even the Lewis gun. AK changed its pattern to where it has a slight zig but no zag. But what you can do is what they call recoil smoothing. It's a technique from Apex where you walk back and forth and counter the recoil pattern of the gun. Meaning, if it goes right, you strafe left. If it goes left, you strafe right while pulling down, and that should negate any side recoil and give you very precise shots. And my last tip of the day is how you kill those pesky turrets fast. Now, a lot of people just shoot the turret in the side where it's very heavily armored. As you can see in this picture, I'm highlighting where this armored area is. Now, looking at the next picture, what you're going to see is I'm going to highlight the weak point of the turret. And if you were to shoot this area, the turret goes down fast, as you see in this clip. Well, guys, that's all the tips I got for you. So hopefully you guys like them and they help you become better, more aware, and maybe I'll see you in the finals. See you guys.
Let's get that last guy.
Yikes! Team wipe for the high notes.